Statistics show that some bullies never grow up. Adult bullying is more common than you may think, though rarely talked about. In fact, 35% of workers surveyed claim to have been bullied on the job at one point. And surprisingly, most of the time, it's by their own boss. Author and activist Gabriella van Rij and psychotherapist Rapini are both here to discuss a very serious subject. Ladies, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
And Gabriella, I want to start with you, and we're going to tell folks where they can get your books in a moment, but you've had a personal experience with bullying, both as a child and as an adult. Can you tell us about the adult instances of bullying?
The adult instance is not just in the workforce. I had both. So my in-laws didn't want to meet me because of my skin color. And I felt that was a continuous way of bullying where you actually really don't know what to do because it's within the family fold. So that was pretty tough on me. And in the workforce, I would say it's often been, for me, sexual harassment when you're younger and you don't dare to kind of stand up for yourself yet. But I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I find that for new immigrants that come, all ages, for the women, it's really tough.
Really?
Yes.
See, I would think that Canada is a progressive, modern society, and that kind of stuff wouldn't happen there.
I agree totally, but we're a melting pot that hasn't melted yet. So it's true.
So let's talk about bullying in the workplace. Is it more pervasive toward women, toward young women, or is it young men also?
I think it can be anyone, and I think it can have to do with race or color or creed, but I think many times what happens is bullies are serial bullies. That you never are bullied by somebody that hasn't bullied others in the past, which is what makes it so difficult to deal with them. They assume power within their stance to treat people this way.
Now, Gabriella, doesn't it seem sometimes that the bullies are the ones that end up getting ahead? I mean, a lot of times they end up being some sort of middle manager somewhere, you know, and they get that sense of power. Has that been your experience too?
Yes, it does, but they were victimized sometimes too. I know that victims turn into bullies as adults, and that is really sad.
They can. And many times bullies are taught to be bullies by the people who are supposed to love them and mentor them the most.
So if you find that you are being bullied in your workplace, I mean, look, let's face it, there's 8.2% unemployment, and that's just what's being reported. I mean, there's widespread unemployment or underemployment. People are very apprehensive about saying anything negative or rocking the boat at work. So what should they do if they're in that circumstance where they feel like you're being bullied?
Right. Well, I think if you're being bullied at work, the first thing is there's a lot of denial around it. And you have to come to terms with it. You have to accept it. And then you have to start documenting. Your main way out of this is going to make sure that you keep a daily diary, that every email you get, if they're harassing you via email, you save, that you also watch how you respond, that you don't become unreasonable, and that's easier if you objectify it and make this person as a bully, and make sure you always tell yourself it's not necessarily you, it's the bully. The bully has done this in the past, and this is going to be an opportunity to teach them not to do it to others. I also suggest that people go to their family doctor, because bullying others causes people to get stressed. It causes increase in anxiety. It causes increase in depression. You'll start seeing blood pressure changes, heart rate changes, and with a doctor's documentation, you only have more when you finally take it to HR or a lawyer.
Good idea. Gabrielle, tell us about your book. Now, you have one book that's already out, right, and one that's coming out?
Yes, With All My Might is already out both in English, French, and Spanish.
Wow.
And it's basically my life story in 3 dates, because I find 3 dates that really change the course of your life. And I tried to talk not just about bullying, but about everything that encompasses fear. Because bullying is part of being fearful. And if you change your attitude, you can find your might. And by going around and talking to the schools in North America, I found that I cannot give to a child of 11 this adult book. It's fine for a 15-year-old. So that's why I decided to write I Can Find My Might for the children, where you more are talking about the emotion only, what the emotion of hurtful words do, because I see that they connect very well with my story.
Yeah, bullying can have such a big impact on young kids. I mean, you'll see their grades fall, they don't want to go to school anymore, and a lot of times they don't even want to tell their parents what's going on because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And their self-esteem, the toll it takes on children's, you know, our whole goal as parents is to raise a child that feels good about themselves, within their family, and about others. You want to make a better society. When a child grows up feeling like they hate themselves, like they're not worthy, you've created a terrible problem.
And you've been through it enough as a child, you don't want to have to go through it as an adult. So the takeaway advice for people is objectify the person. If they're being a bully, treat them as a bully.
Right.
Get some evidence, perhaps, of the bullying.
And know you will lose friends in a workplace, because many people will say, I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, and if you have to go to your human resources department, do it. And then I'm sure there are some laws against people retaliating against you. So we want to empower people to do that. So please pick up Gabriella's books, and they can find them
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. It's Gabriella van Rij, and that's R-I-J, Van Rij. It's a lovely way of spelling it, and it's Dutch, by the way. Very nice. Thank you so much for bringing that in. I hope everybody will please check out those books on Amazon.